Module number 11 is on federal consolidation. Now, in theory, federal consolidation is really quite simple. It's paying off multiple federal loans with one brand new federal loan. It's trading debt for debt. All the loans you consolidate go to zero, they are gone, and you have a brand new federal consolidation loan. We think you're going to find as you go through this module that many recent graduates simply just don't need to consolidate because you don't gain anything by doing so. If you do decide that you want to consolidate, federal consolidation, there's only one option, and that's with the government's direct consolidation loan program. Remember, all the loans you've had over the past few years are directly from the government. So the federal consolidation program is a direct consolidation loan. The online application is at studentaid.gov. That's a familiar site to use, /consolidation. It'll take you right to the online application and promissory note. And while the lender is the federal government, the lender is the government on all direct loans, you can choose the loan servicer that you want for your federal consolidation loan. And if you are interested in the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, hopefully by now, the loan servicer you should choose is FedLoan Servicing. Let's take a look at the advantages of federal consolidation. Well, one obvious advantage is the convenience of one loan servicer. If you only have one loan, you're only going to have one loan servicer. But again, many of you, if not most of you, already have one loan servicer for all of your loans. If you happen to have any non-direct federal loans that are eligible for consolidation, when you consolidate, you can convert their balance from a non-direct loan into a direct loan balance, and that means they will be eligible to be repaid with pay or repay, and also eligible for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. Now, we're going to address this later on in this module, but consolidation may allow a borrower to start eligibility for PSLF a little bit earlier, with an emphasis on just a little bit earlier. Again, more on that a little bit later in this module. And although I cannot imagine this applying to any of you, if for some reason you need to extend your repayment term, you can consolidate and extend the repayment term up to 30 years. 25 years is the maximum repayment term on non-consolidated loans. So those are some of the advantages of direct consolidation. The disadvantages, and look at this first one, very important. If you consolidate, you're going to partially negate the ability to aggressively repay on your loans. Now listen carefully, you can overpay on a federal consolidation loan anytime you want to with no penalty, but you have one loan at one rate. If you don't consolidate and at some point you decide to be aggressive, remember we've said before several times, you can overpay on the loan with the highest interest rate. So what federal consolidation does, it partially negates aggressive repayment because now you can't get quite the bang for the buck you could if you could target an extra payment on your most expensive loan. You do get a slightly higher rate when you consolidate. This is not a reason not to do it. The interest rate you get is a weighted rate. It's rounded up to the nearest higher 1/8%. That's only 0.125% higher than it's fixed. So that's not a reason not to consolidate. If you're consolidating loans like the loans for disadvantaged students and health profession student loans, those are converted to an unsubsidized balance. Those campus-based loans are interest-free during the grace period. And speaking of grace periods, if you consolidate too early, you're going to lose the grace period that you've got on your direct unsubsidized loan. So those are some disadvantages. The main one, again, being that it partially negates your ability to aggressively go after your highest interest rate loans if at some point you decide you want to be aggressive. So should you consolidate? Well, you might be a candidate if you have multiple loan servicers. And if you've got some non-direct loans and you are interested in pay-as-you-earn or revised pay-as-you-earn, you can only use those plans on direct loans. Or you have some non-direct loans and you're interested in the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. Remember, PSLF is only good on direct loans. You may be a candidate if for some reason you want to extend the repayment term from 25 to 30 years, and you may be a candidate if you want to try and start the public service loan forgiveness eligibility a little bit earlier. Again, we're going to talk about that in an upcoming slide. But guys, take a look at this. You may not be a candidate if you already have one loan servicer, which is probably most of you. You may not be a candidate if your entire federal student loan portfolio is already in the direct loan program. Once again, that's probably most of you. And you may not be a candidate if you want to at least preserve the option for the most effective aggressive repayment approach later on, meaning preserve the option to have different loans at different rates so that if you overpay, you can overpay on the highest interest rate loan. That slide right there is why most of you are simply not going to be strong candidates for federal consolidation. It's not that you can't do it, you just don't really gain anything by consolidating. Now, we do get lots of questions about how early can you start qualifying for public service loan forgiveness. Now, I'm not going to go back through all the eligibility requirements for PSLF. That's in a separate module. We hope you've watched that. But just remember that you cannot waive the 6-month grace period on your direct unsubsidized loans. So you can't start eligibility for PSLF until November or December after graduation, until the grace period is up. That's when you enter repayment. But consolidation loans don't have grace periods. They enter repayment immediately. So if you consolidate right out of school, when you go in and consolidate, you actually choose the repayment plan you want right there on the spot when you consolidate. And if you're interested in the public service loan forgiveness program, you're going to choose pay or repay. And so if there are no grace periods on consolidation loans, the theory is that your consolidation loan will enter repayment immediately and you can start eligibility for public service loan forgiveness as soon as the consolidation loan goes through and you're working full-time for your nonprofit teaching hospital. Now, depending on timing, you could start making payments for PSLF approximately 2 to 3 months after you leave school. Why do I say that? Consolidation normally takes 3 to 6 weeks. Guys, that's during a normal course of business. We are right now in anything but a normal course of business with the COVID-19 pandemic. So consolidation usually takes 3 to 6 weeks, and then the first payment is normally not due for about a month. So if you play this all out, you would only be starting the eligibility for PSLF around 3 months early. I'm not so sure it would be worth your while to do that just to gain a little bit of early time qualifying for PSLF, but that is clearly your decision. So some reminders as we close up this module. First of all, please see our tips on federal consolidation on our homepage. We've got much more detail there that we hope will help you. If you do decide to consolidate, you got to be sure your loans are in good standing. They will likely either be in a grace period or perhaps a forbearance period because of the CARES Act while you're consolidating. You can consolidate after graduation during your grace period, but you can't consolidate while you are in school. And that last bullet point, completely up to you, but carefully consider whether or not you really want to consolidate for the sole purpose of trying to start PSLF eligibility early, because our experience says you're only going to gain 2 or 3 months of doing that early by consolidating. Consider just waiting until your loans come due later in the fall and then starting PSLF at that time. This is the end of module number 11.